I'm talking to Carmen Manea. She's a global leadership coach and working with women in the areas of authentic leadership, imposter syndrome, and inner critic. She's also a corporate mindfulness trainer, combining mindfulness, self compassion, emotional balance, and coaching as leadership tools. She is originally from Romania, currently living in Denmark. Thanks for coming to the interview today.
Thank you for inviting me. How is going for you these days?
I find less change around me. How about you?
It is a little bit similar in terms of work. In the same time, I think it changed a lot in the interactions with the people I'm working with and with friends and family. Somehow the topics have changed, and also a little bit more worries and a little bit of different habits around me. So yeah, personally, it is pretty much the same, but still there is a lot of a different environment right now going on.
Yeah, it's definitely a different environment. When you mentioned topics changed, so what are the main pattern coming up?
Worry, uncertainty, feeling unsafe. There are some topics that keep on popping up.
It's a time of uncertainty and worry, and I'm sure that your clients are finding your service very helpful.
Thank you for saying that, Bolorma. It's I think now it's a moment when we are being at service in the sense of really using our humanity besides our experience to support everyone else and to support ourselves. As you already know, I'm working also with mindfulness, and now it's the ideal moment to use my mindfulness practice into real life, and to really see how personally I can keep my calm, and how personally I can deal with my own emotions,
Mm.
and how I can personally be self-compassionate in order to be able to serve the others.
Mm.
So it is definitely a moment where many years of practice are showing their value, and when um, I can use the practice even more, because as we were talking earlier, all around us it is a little bit of panic. It is a little bit of news who are not very encouraging. There is a lot of uncertainty. We don't have many answers. I say, how do we gracefully navigate uncertainty in general? Because now we have an example with the virus. Yet, how do we navigate uncertainty in life? How do we navigate challenges in life? How how do we trust ourselves that we have the strength, the power, and the willingness to go through wherever comes our way? Because if we are realistic, life is made both of happy moments and of suffering moments. And how do we learn to really celebrate the happy moments when we have them?
Yeah,
And how do we navigate and accept also the challenging moments when we have them?
yeah, wow. And I see also that moving countries and building a career means dealing with a lot of uncertainty. And I see that
Mm.
there's a huge link. What brought you to Denmark and how long has it been?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for making the parallel. Indeed, I think any transition is full of uncertainty and full of expectations. It's about how do we navigate this. So, what brought me to Denmark was curiosity,
Mm.
was the curiosity of embracing a new culture, a new working system, a different way of interacting, different way of doing what I was already doing.
Mm.
And it was a delightful journey, as I was saying earlier. Of course, with ups and downs, because life is having it's having both ups and downs. It's not always just easy, and it's not always um, just challenging. So it's a lot about really recognizing this. I came to Denmark. Soon there will be actually 9 years in summer, and I still feel I'm transitioning, and I still feel I'm adapting, even if I feel very much being at home. I appreciate many of the values here, and I appreciate a lot. It is interesting when we talk about transitioning, and when we talk about different countries, there is always the distinction between us and them,
Mm.
which is at a global level, and wherever we go in this world, or even in the in the next village, even the other family,
Yeah.
right? It's us and them, and it's always a little bit like, can I trust this other person, or what's the habits there, or how do they do things, or also this comparing with each other.
Yeah.
uh, so I think this became more clear about us and them, and me being in some cases part of them as an expat, but in the same time being a part of us, as I was part of the expat community. So there is always belonging somewhere if we try to see that.
When you also mentioned that I part of me is still transitioning, how does transition feel to you personally?
I think transition can be very much seen as growth. Interestingly enough, I don't feel necessarily connected to a piece of land.
Mm.
I don't want to be ungrateful. I really love both my country and then my host country. Yet somehow, for me, if you ask me where I feel home in terms of land, is out in the nature, out in the mountains. But transition is a sense of growth and a sense of adapting and the sense of belonging, and in the same time of keeping the freedom, being adaptable and understanding that we are all extremely similar and in the same time extremely different. It might sound like a paradox, but that's the reality. We are very similar in many aspects, and very different in other aspects, and just really keeping this open mind, and again
Curiosity.
curiosity and genuine interest in people, in who they are, what they are behind their nationality, behind their profession, behind the role that they have in society, but who they really are. I think that's helping transition to be a lifetime journey, but in the same time to be a wonderful journey.
Yeah, wow. Your messages are very powerful. When you were telling me about growth and being open to the people, culture, not many people find openness to different culture immediately.
Mm.
At the beginning, there's the resistance. 9 years back, did you have the similar experience like that? And if you had, how did you overcome?
Yeah, it is very true, and indeed there is a lot of resistance. Again, us and them. If we start even from the family, mom's family, dad's family, right?
Yeah.
So different, and grandparents from mom's side and grandparents from dad's side. I think what really helped was growing on my mindfulness path, on the compassion and self-compassion path, and understanding that actually people are not judgmental because they have something against, but because they try to protect themselves, because
Ah,
they are afraid of the unknown. I found that more people trust themselves, um, more people trust the others. By allowing myself also to trust myself and to trust that it's nothing wrong with me if I'm excluded, and I don't need to fight back or to be angry with those people, but more to trust that I'm fine the way I am, and maybe people haven't been exposed to certain groups, or maybe people have been exposed to certain groups and they have been disappointed in certain ways. So it's really being more than empathetic, but really being compassionate and really understanding that people are doing their best with what they have in those moments.
Mm.
And I noticed that actually people that have been expats at their own time in other countries, it was easier for them to embrace and to accept what is going on. Again, the exposure and them experiencing and getting used to different cultures and getting used to be the outsiders
Yeah.
helped them to accept more. This was one of the things. And the second one was the fact that I was immediately exposed to a very diverse group, to many nationalities. I think again curiosity came into place,
Yeah.
and really the willingness to understand without being judgmental.
Mm.
And it's not always easy if it comes back to self-compassion and to trust. Once I was showing myself more self-compassion, more trust was coming, and I could be more in the present. I could see the things the way they are without avoiding to see certain things and without making other things bigger than they actually were. This have been two important parts who actually have been growing me
Mm.
both personally and professionally, because personally I could adapt this year. I could embrace more both the locals and the international community. Professionally, it really helped me to be able to work with people from all over the world, which has been a huge advantage. All this professional transition.
Yeah. Sounds like also your profession helped you become this very curious, open minded, understanding, also compassionate person. It's been 9 years, your business and your career is going very well, successfully. And throughout this journey, when you're building your career in a new culture, what did you find the most challenging? If you could name one thing.
Ah, the most the biggest challenge was being an outsider. As I was saying, coming not only being an outsider, but coming from Romania, Eastern Europe, and in Europe is not always really attractive. There are some judgments around people from Eastern Europe. Even if I had a great career behind me, maybe I didn't have the best nationality, the right nationality for some places, which could have been a handicap, but in the same time was really again help being a big teacher for me to see actually what being a Romanian and what's the quality in there, and also to understand people why maybe they have their reservations. So it was this us and them. I was really missing a local network. So I started to develop an international network, but I was still missing the local network. It's very important to have people supporting us locally, to have people recommending us locally. That's really essential. But on the other hand, having an international network was really my biggest advantage. Before being self-employed, I worked for like recruiting and onboarding designers from all over the world. This was for them the biggest dream, to be designers at Lego, yet they had to relocate with their families. Informally, I was actually coaching them and their families, adapting to a new way of living. I was really exposed to many different people with many different concerns. This gave me the advantage of being able, when I started on my own, to working with people from all over the world. A few weeks ago, I talked to somebody and asked, well, how many nationalities coach and trained, and try to figure out how many have been. And actually, I noticed that there have been people from more than 30 countries from 4 different continents that I've been working with. Most probably, I couldn't have done that if I wouldn't have been an expat myself, and I couldn't have been exposed to so many different nationalities. And if I wouldn't have had my own challenges, curiosity started with my own need to be at peace. It has been a huge challenge. In the same time, it showed to be a great gift.
Yeah, the most difficult challenges and stars in our life happen to be the biggest grateful gifts for us.
Mm.
Wow, that's a great experience. And thank you for painting that picture in us. If you could speak yourself before moving to Denmark 9 years back, knowing
Mm.
what you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh wow. Mm. I guess trusting myself more from the beginning. I was trusting myself, but I think I was trusting myself more professionally than as a person. Many of us nowadays we are identifying ourselves a lot with our professions,
Yeah.
and many times we put aside who we are as a person. If I would have just reminded myself that yeah, I'm a caring person, I'm a courageous person, I'm a curious person, that I have all the resources I need, I think that would have made my journey a little bit easier. In the end, we all need to start growing somewhere, and I'm grateful I've been through all this, and I could actually develop these skills, and I could start seeing in myself who I really am without, taking pride necessarily, but really, let's say, being at home in my own company and with myself, really knowing that no matter what comes my way, and again we connect to what's happening these days, whatever comes my way, I have the resources to deal with everything. I have ways to also support those that are around me, and to support also those that are far away. Even if physically we are far away, there is a connection that is stronger than the physical distance.
Carmen, you are equipping us with this amazing wisdom. I find your words very inspiring, and I think it's much needed advice and wisdom in this time of uncertainty. Thank you for sharing that. You say bringing different aspects of yourself to work and embracing yourself as wholly, finding comfort in yourself. And as a mindfulness expert, leadership coach, what do you find the most meaningful in your work?
It's so interesting to look back, and I'm really noticing how people start to notice the magic that it is within themselves. This last week I had a coaching call with someone that I've been working for a year now, and she was so sweet. She said, well, we have 1 year anniversary. and we really laughed and said, yeah, definitely we have to celebrate that. And it was so interesting how she actually has been, if you look at a flower which is like a really closed, and how she was really not trusting that much. She knew what was in there, but really not trusting it. And now she was all blooming, even through these moments of uncertainty. She was like totally blooming, confident, and really knowing what she stands for, and who she really is, and having the power of loving herself and
Wow.
putting herself out there. That was extremely touching, because again we are so tough on ourselves these days. I work a lot with mindfulness in organizations, but I also do mindfulness in the profession of coaching, for example, with coaches, and coach many leaders. The biggest challenge everywhere is this trust in ourselves. um, we maybe believe that we are good professionals, even if we have doubts there too. But the true trust in who we really are, the true trust that we have all the resources and all the potential. When I say potential, actually, it's a little bit maybe artificial, because we are born with all these things, but while growing up, we learn how to stop ourselves from a lot of things. We learn how to be tough on ourselves. We learn how to punish ourselves. We learn how to respond to certain stimulus. The path is changing so much, but we are actually born being good. We are born being happy. We are born. I usually give the metaphor of people are afraid of failure. And I'm giving the metaphor of babies who start walking, right?
Ah.
So they walk and fall and walk and fall and walk and fall for so many times, and they don't say, "Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm not going to walk again ever." They just stand up and keep on walking and laugh and cry and laugh and cry and keep on walking. And the same with adults. We forget that's okay to fall. We forget that it's part of the learning process. And even in the simple metaphor of walking, if we take it further, even as adults, once in a while we stumble on something and fall, or skiing or doing something, we end up falling. And this doesn't mean that we are not able to walk again. It's important to trust that failure is part of our journey. Or one of the reasons for which I work with the inner critic and with the imposter syndrome, because so many people, they feel that I'm not good enough, or they are going to discover soon that I'm not as they thought. Or there is that critical voice who says, "Oh, don't do that. That's dangerous. You might fail. People might judge you." All they do, they try to keep us safe. Again, I use a metaphor and I say that they are like overprotecting parents. They try to keep us safe, but in the same time, by being so safe, we don't dare doing things. And they really support and encourage people to try out things, to try out to trust themselves, and to trust also when they fail, then that's okay. We all fail, and to connect with
Yeah.
each other. A lot of us think, oh, it's only me failing, it's only me suffering, it's only me having problems.
Mm.
Oh, we all have these ideas one way or the other. So it's so important to really know that we all connect through this, and that we all have the ability to stand up and to move forward. And this is actually the resilience that we can cultivate and we can work with day after day, no matter what challenges come, be it being an expat, being corona, or being it suffering of something even deeper. We have the ability to move forward one way or the other.
I'm resonating with this idea that you find meaning in awakening magic in your client, which is what you've just covered, and trusting themselves, really believing in themselves, or who or what event awakened your magic in yourself, or have you always been this way?
That's a very good question. Let's say maybe 15 years ago, I was really trying to do a million of things in the same time, trying to go as fast as I can, um, really not looking into myself, but as I was saying, how can I achieve quicker, faster, wherever I want to achieve. Um, and at the same time, I was able to really grow people around me. I was so supportive, and I was supporting people to develop so beautifully, to expand. Yet I was not allowing myself to expand.
Mm.
I was finding so difficult to believe that it's okay for me to fail. It would have been okay for everybody else to fail, but not for me. And but it is okay to love everybody else, but not myself, because I have to be tough on myself to reach the results. That was not fulfilling. Was on the one side fulfilling, but because I was doing great work with other people, it was not fulfilling for myself, that I was not able to do this work with myself. And the moment when I have been confronted with the idea that I as well might be worthy of loving myself,
Yeah.
was like, oh really? That was really powerful. And I was kind of resisting in the beginning. More I developed this self-love, and not in a selfish way, but really in an altruistic way, I realized that more I can actually understand the others, and more I can support others. So it has been um, a transforming journey for myself. And even if deep inside I've been always caring and sensitive, and I was also very um, goal oriented and into action. But again, what was really missing was the self love, self care, and that for sure made the biggest difference in my own life and in the life of the people I'm working with.
I want to dwell on what's self love, self loving, but we have limited time. And Carmen is running mindfulness training online, which is starting in 20 minutes. I just wanted to live a few moments with you to reflect on our conversation. Maybe if you have few things to say to the people who would be watching this, what would you say?
Um, I have a few words maybe of reminding people um, of who they are. I would like to invite everyone maybe to pause for a moment and to really close their eyes and maybe to remember themselves, maybe being small or maybe being just a little bit older, and to remind themselves of a moment when they were like really at their full power, really joyful and feeling that they can do anything they want, and could have been a child who maybe was doing something naughty but still thought that has all the power in the world, or could have been an adult who was taking a tough decision and yet still feeling empowered. Just really remembering a moment when you felt your full power, and knowing that this full power that you experienced in that moment, it's in you. Nobody can take it away, and you can make use of it at any moment. It's just about remembering yourself, letting go of maybe expectations, letting go of conditioning, and really connecting with yourself as a strong, beautiful human being. And slowly opening your eyes if your eyes have been closed, and really taking with you this power that you have, this strength that you have, knowing that you don't need to have your eyes closed, you don't need to make a visualization to feel it, but just maybe you can sometimes just touch your two fingers and knowing that is there for you. That's your magic formula for your inner power.
Wow, what a powerful exercise. I feel really connected with myself, and I'm sure that the audience will find this exercise very meaningful and helpful in their journey. Thank you for coming to the interview. I certainly enjoyed talking to you, and every sentences you shared, it really resonated with me. And you are a woman of wisdom, living your career with this amazing purpose and meaning, and also this huge clarity around. And you found magic in yourself, and you've been serving your clients to find magic in themselves. And what a meaningful journey. That's what I wanted to say.
Mm. Thank you very much, Palermo. And yes, well, I think I'm a student, and I'll always be. Uh, And thank you for being here with me and for being curious and asking always questions. And thank you to anyone who has been listening. Hopefully, you get something that resonates with you as well. And yeah, stay curious and stay connected. You'll you'll find the magic which is there.
Yeah, magic is in us.
Exactly. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, have a great day, everyone. See you soon.